In this video, I'm going to import some information from an Access database to create a pivot chart and a pivot table. So I'm going to start out here with a completely new worksheet, and I'm going to go to my Data tab and to the Get External Data group, and I'm going to click on From Access, and it opens up a Select Data Source dialog box. So I need to here navigate to where I have stored my information for tutorial 11. And there's my database. So I'm going to go ahead and select it by clicking on it and then clicking Open. And these are the tables in the database here. And for this particular exercise, I'm going to use Recent Performance, this table, to create my pivot table and a pivot chart. So I will click on the table that I want to select and then click OK. Here's my Import Data dialog box. I need to tell it that I want to import the data as a pivot chart and a pivot table report into the existing worksheet in cell A6. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click OK. So it shows up here without the data, but with the structure for the pivot table and the pivot chart. And I need to build those like you would build an ordinary pivot table. Although these little boxes here are not quite what you're used to. So ticker symbol is going to become my report filter, and then date will be the axis field, and that relates to the pivot chart. Then high, low, and closing become the values that create the pivot chart, or the pivot table rather. And then here we're going to change these names, and if you recall from the days of doing pivot tables in tutorial 5, you can go to the Pivot Table Tools Options tab in the Active Field group, and in the Field Name dialog box you can type a custom name for that field. So the first field you're going to call high value. The second field is low value. And the final field will be closing value. So you can see that once you've got the data in your spreadsheet, you can manipulate it just like you would an ordinary pivot table. I'm going to go then to the Pivot Table Tools Design tab, to the Layout group, and click the Grand Totals button and turn off the grand totals for the rows and columns. And then finally, I am going to make some changes here to my pivot chart, which you can do. I want to change it from a bar chart or column chart to a line chart. And if you recall from tutorial 3 where we did charts, this is how you change your chart type. You go to the Pivot Chart Tools Design tab, to the Type group, and click on the Change Chart Type button, and then simply select the chart type that you want to use. And then click OK. Now the ticker symbol here is our report filter, and I'm just going to go ahead and click the down arrow there, and I'm going to find the symbol for Toyota, and I'm going to click on it to remove it from the filter and click OK, and you'll see a slight change in your chart, and these numbers should have changed as well. So that's how you import an Access database as a pivot table and a pivot chart in Excel.